Get ready for Off the Top Rope. Let's get it. The wait is finally over. Off the Top Rope moves to Old City Sports Network, and if there's one superstar in wrestling that can make this episode worthwhile, it's the Chica, Nahir Robles. She joins your boy Ty Asbury to talk up about her huge 2025. This episode, oh yeah, it's not miss.
Yeah. Tyrone Asbury. Yo. Yeah. I need y'all to listen to me right now as I taking you on this journey. Podcast journey.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been gone for a very long time from the podcasting game, but I am back. Tonight is a big night here on Off the Top Rope, presented by, of course, Old City Sports Network. I'm Ty Asbury, Off the Top Rope. If you want some sizzle in this debut episode, then you got to have a world champion. My guest live is Nahir Robles. She is here in the house. Nahir, how you doing?
Hola. I'm very excited to be here. I feel like we've been going back and forth for like over a year now. This has been like a hide and seek between the two of us. So it finally happened.
Well, you are busy, of course, being a world champion and wrestling for this promotion.
Pretty beautiful title from Warrior Breed Wrestling in Florida on my 50th match because it had to be symbolic. And red just looks really good on me.
Well, I got red on. You got
it.
Everything is just red here tonight, and this show will be red hot here on Off the Top Rope. And I want to thank everybody for, of course, mainly for this new era for Off the Top Rope for as we start this era on Old City Sports, because this is going to be definitely sizzling from 2025 to ongoing. Now I got to ask you, like, how you doing? Because I know being a champion, you're a busy lady.
I'm all right. I mean, with the holidays and everything, I feel like my head still hasn't wrapped around the fact that it's 2025. And this is like a whole new year where I could do different things that I did last year. And I think 2024 was such a great year for me. And now it's like I'm just competing with myself right now. Like, what am I going to do this year? What kind of shenanigans will I do this year? So I feel like I'm still like, it's just been the first few days and I'm already thinking, what am I going to do this year different than the last one? So I'm like,
well, it's like for when you look at that, like you said, like you're like, because you're champion, you got a new year, everything going on. Like, first and foremost, like, have you, from a wrestling standpoint, is it like, man, I got the belt now, I can pretty much defend it in all these promotions? It's like I always say here on All the Top Rope, it's like a buffet. You want to get your hands on everything that you can. So you must be, definitely, you must be just craving all the competition.
I am. I mean, I feel like I said, I achieved a lot of things I didn't really think that were going to happen on my second year wrestling. Like, I know I'm just going all over the place right now, but like in the top of my head, like when I found out I made it into the PWI 250 list, like to me that was in my head, this is ridiculous. Like I was like, I couldn't grasp my head around it. I was like, how is this happening? When I also made it into the QWI, I was like, what is going on? Like, so in my head, and I'm like, how am I going to top that? How am I going to top my last year, my second year, which, I had a lot of great opponents. And yes, I have a title, which I've defended in Puerto Rico and I've defended it in Florida. I also want to defend it in other places. But at the same time, in my head, I'm just like, how am I going to get to this new challenge that is 2025 for me?
Yeah, and 2025 is going to be the year, of course, of Nahir. It's going to be something special. And I can't wait to enjoy the ride. So, and I'm just looking forward to it because I've seen clips of you. And you got a damn hard hitting clothesline too, and people who step in the ring with you for the new year, watch out. So,
I feel like my clotheslines are nicer. I think my chops are mean.
I've seen them. you bring the heat meat, like, you know.
With a girl with such tiny hands, my chops sound really hard and they're very
Now, I want to ask you, of course, this, of course, is your first appearance on the show, and tell the wrestling world, like, moving forward, for maybe people who haven't seen you, which if they haven't, they're fools. But what should they expect from you in the new year? Because I mean, big things are coming up. Tell fans why they should check you out in the new year.
I feel like I'm known as La Chica de Lola Ola. I'm a wrestler from Puerto Rico. I bring a lot to the table, not only because of what I do in the ring, but because of how I relate to others. I am in awe every way you could think of, the textbook definition of underdog. Even though I've wrestled as a kind of mean girl sometimes, but I'm just sassy, I guess. I'm not like super mean, but I'm the kind of person that had a lot of hardships to her, which where she is. That that's why 2024 was so hard for me to comprehend. Like, why does this even happen to me? Like, I still feel like I don't deserve things. So I feel like 2025 is going to be the year where I prove to everybody why 2024 wasn't a fluke. So
Yeah,
that's why you should be, supporting me and joining the ride and joining the Ola Ola Ferris wheel with me.
we do got some comments blowing up here on the show, and somebody did say, kicking out of that too. They said the forearm shivers. You do look so mean too. So
No, I don't know why. It's so funny. I remember one of my first matches ever. Wait, can I curse? Can I not curse?
I don't care. You do. Go ahead. Do what you got to do.
Okay, I'm just gonna say one. Somebody said to me, "Your forearms are shit." That was like one of my first matches, like for sure. Like that was the first thing somebody said. And I'm like, okay,
All
they're
right.
shit. Okay, now they're not gonna be. Now they're scary. And then the same person saw one of my matches recently. He was like,
Whoa.
"You took it very personally what I said," and I'm like, "Yes."
Well, now they know, and that probably, I'm sure, was a huge motivating factor for you. Because I'm sure, probably as professional wrestlers, can feedback be? I know everybody takes things differently. For you, I guess taking feedback as a wrestler, is that something that you have to have? Because I mean, some people aren't great with. I know, depending on what it is, I'm not. But for you, that's probably like motivation, you could say, as you want to get better in the ring, which you have.
So I feel like when I say I'm the literally textbook definition of underdog, like when I started wrestling, like nobody, like, which is why it's so funny where I'm right now, like nobody from the island was supporting me, even though I transitioned from interviewer to wrestler. I was just the person that was just like nobody supported, but everything they've ever said about me, I have learned to like reverse Uno card it. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. Like, this is how good I am with critiques. I've never let somebody's opinion of me make me feel less of myself, but only to get myself to the next version, right? Puerto Rico in wrestling and women's wrestling particularly, I think we've grown, but at the same time, they're still reserved on the fact that they still want to like separate the Divas era with like women's wrestling, and I personally think they can both match together. There doesn't need to be a whole disrespecting what the Divas era was to nowadays. It's still women's wrestling. They just work with what they had, so they try to make it a huge point of them saying that they're not divas, that they're wrestlers, and it was a really huge like debate last in 2023, particularly when they said, "Oh, I'm here to wrestle, not to show my ass." And I said, "Well, you could do both if you wanted to. Like that's just a personal choice." So that's when I started coming up with the whole phrase of culo talentoso, because that's just the way of me telling the audience I could show my ass, I could shake my ass if I wanted to, but I am still gonna deliver in the ring. Like that's just like, if you don't want to do that, that's fine, but you don't need to belittle other eras to to highlight yours. So everything that has been said to me, I've learned to reverse Uno card it and make it my own. Like culo talentoso was something that it was just so random, but like I'm very like those are my views. Like you can have both together without disrespecting the other one.
It's like kind of like if I'm going to like strut outside the ring, I might as well if I got it, I'm gonna strut inside the ring. Like you said, I mean, show a little booty, do what you got to do. And that's where it's like, do you feel as women's wrestling? Do you think up to that point where it's been taken seriously? I think it has. I mean, because there are so many, including yourself, so many promising female talent out there. Do you think it's hit that point where it should be taken very seriously?
I think women's wrestling has proven time and time again regardless of the time they were giving back then and the time now. They still had charisma, they still had ring ability. The unfortunate part that yes, like most of the times like their beauty was highlighted, but like all these women are still gorgeous and they can still kick ass. Like it shouldn't really matter. Um but I feel like right now we're at a point where women are having main event matches, 30-minute matches, something that was so like something that no one would have ever thought was actually possible. So I think we're getting there.
Actually, we got a question here on the ropes, and Mr. Rob, Povia, if I got your name wrong, you can clothesline me later. The question is for you, of course, what was the biggest challenge you have had to overcome in your career, and how did it make you a better competitor?
Oh, dude, that's my favorite one. No one was taking me seriously when I started. I was the afterthought. I was literally the afterthought. I was the second girl to ever make it to my wrestling school. And I would get past, like, another girl would come up, they would put her before me, then another one. And they would always argument with me, you're not getting better. And I remember saying to them, how do you expect me to get better if you're not giving me ring time? How you're not expecting me to get better if you don't let me show you what I have? So I remember no one like thinking I had it in me. And then I started knocking down doors in the Northeast, and then the Northeast took me in like one of their own. I always say I'm a Northeast honorary girl. Like even though I'm from Puerto Rico, I still live here. And though it was because these people saw something in me, my confidence started building up. My wrestling repertoire started changing. It started adapting to different kind of competitors because I was also not wrestling with the same five people that people usually do back on the island, and that's fine. But like I feel like I was stuck here. I love the island. I love what they're building with wrestling. But at the same time, there's so many things that are very old school that I feel like I wouldn't have been able to progress the way that I did if I didn't leave. And everything that they said about me that I was never going to get better, that I should have just stayed being an interviewer. I took that. I took everything they've ever said about me. My moniker is about my interviewer character. When I used to interview, I used to go, hola, hola. So everything that makes me me has been me reverse Uno carding everything that has been said bad about me and making it my own person, showing to everybody that I can rise above the occasion if I set my mind to it.
Now, of course, I got to ask you. And now, I didn't know this. Of course, you are a champion in the ring. Of course, you're a champion as being an interviewer. Now, I got to ask you: have you ever, when you were practicing your craft, did you ever like interview yourself in front of the mirror, and you were like, "God damn it, that was so good!" Like, did you ever like pretty much like work on that? Like, how was your way of getting better as an interviewer? Because that's not easy. I know a lot of people may stand in
I
front of the
got
mirror.
lucky. I got very lucky. The company that first opened their doors for me in Puerto Rico was Latin American Wrestling Entertainment, which unfortunately just lasted a year. But I was only training for like a year at that time. I wasn't like ring ready, which was fine. And I had two great coaches. I had a lot of great coaches, not gonna lie. Like I had Willie Urbina, who's like a legend here, like a commentary legend here. I had Hector Frodo Caban, and Muli Jack Melendez, who are both currently the Spanish commentators for Impact. So I had these people like just navigating this journey with me, because nobody remembered a time where they had a girl doing interviews like 20 years prior, like was the last time. And I also had my own show, which was something again. It was just so out of the blue. I had this show called Update Law, and I would just have, there's a picture of me with a microphone, and I used to have even red hair at the time, just like this. It was so, like, again, it was such a great experience, because I had these people, navigating the journey with me, telling me the to do, the don'ts. And I started getting more comfortable around time. I remember Moody would give me the script. Oh, you have to interview these people, and it was like a 15 like people list. And he would just be like, when he saw that I was fully ready, he was like, you know what? I like your style. This is the list. Here's a cameragrapher. Go, because I've seen you attack people for the interviews. Go. And the moment the list was given to me, you're in trouble. Like, you're not leaving without the interview.
But I really think that good things happen to good people like yourself and me, because you put in the work, and in wrestling, you got to start from somewhere. People start as referees, broadcasters, etc. And that's what you had to do. So definitely, props to you for doing that and everything you've accomplished. And I got to say the questions for you are coming in, and here's another one for you as well. I'm gonna pull it up on the broadcast. So this one is, if you can see it.
Yeah.
Was there a moment where the fear or anxiety of being new subsided, and and you thought to yourself, I got this?
I had I was fighting. I remember I was fighting for my spot in Puerto Rico, and I hadn't wrestled in like 2 months. And then randomly they called me and they said, you're doing a segment. And on that segment, that was the first promo I ever cut, like in front of everybody. Like, and they didn't give me like you want like go along these lines. They just threw me to the wolves, And if there's anything I'm very good is telling a story, and also staying true to myself. So I remember having the microphone on my hand.
That's what you got to do in wrestling. You did that perfectly, telling a story, and that's what you did.
So I remember having the microphone in my hand, and the crowd was just staring at me, and I just went off with the most sarcastic remark I could think of. I said, long time no see, people. It's been only 2 months, 13 days, and blah, blah, blah hours. But, it kind of sucks here when you're not one of the favorites. It was something along those lines that I just went off on administration. And they were, and I remember the only thing I said was, well, I'm just going to say sorry. I'm not going to, after I'm done, I'm not going to, ask for permission. Whatever comes out of my mouth came out of my mouth. Deal with it.
And that's sometimes how you got to do it. I mean, I know people going by the script. I mean, but I think sometimes, like you said, learning on the job, you just gotta go out there and just do it. And you were talented enough, and that's like when Austin 316 said the Austin 316. So I just just going out there and just owning that moment, and that's what you did. So yeah, hey, that's what you did. And I made some clips, especially for you, going back to what you've accomplished, and that's what we're doing.
Oh God, and I'm a crier. Oh no.
Let's check these out though. Here we Yeah, if you didn't get it, was a training video. So I didn't know, like, far as as far as from a training aspect, like when it comes to your training sessions, like how do you put those into words?
I mean, I feel like that's Jackson. That's Action Jackson. That was literally my last coach, my last wrestling coach. He came last year. He was in Puerto Rico for 6 months, and I feel like we both relate to each other a lot in the whole like underdog vibes and just trying to prove to everybody that we belong. And he saw something in me, and I remember we started training really hard. And God knows, there's a lot of things that I'll go like if like even one of my original trainers would be like, "Let's try this," and I would go straight up like, "I'm not doing that." Like, just, and I look at them and I'll be legit, "We're not doing that." But then Jackson came along, and I started trusting him. He's my mentor. He's my teacher. And if there's anything I've learned from having different mentors and coaches, is that you gotta take a little bit from everybody, and you work with all that they gave you, and then that's how slowly you begin to figure out your ring identity. Sorry. And I feel like I really think that if he wouldn't have shown up, I don't think I ever would have ever found out who I was in the ring. So I owe that much to him.
When I watched that clip, I could see on my side of the broadcast how you just looked at that clip, like it just hit your heart. Like, man, that means a lot to me. So that's why I made it for you, because I could tell like that really meant a lot to you. And you guys were just by yourselves, nobody in there, and just learning. And that touched me just to see that how you both have come along. So
Because of him, I had my first main event match. Like, I have a really funny, like it's just such a funny picture. It's from 2023. It's just him. We tagged together. And ironically, we went against each other this year, like last year, which was like, how dare you? But I have this really like cute picture. It just looks like apprentice looking like to the like Padawan apprentice and all of that. And it's just me staring at him like this, like, and it's such an adorable picture. But like looking back, I went from looking at him like this in 2023, like, what else can you teach me, to this time around, like, I'm gonna beat you up for not being on my side, buddy.
but the crazy thing is that you made your debut in 2022.
Yeah.
And I did my research, and it's crazy how like it's just like 2025, and it's like I don't even feel like seem like you're a veteran already, but like, man, it's like, do you think yourself like, man, it's like I've been doing this for like, it feels like forever. It's so crazy how that wrestling
I always
time really jumps.
I always joke that on my debut match, I only had 2 matches that year. So I always joke like, was it really my debut if I wasn't consistent? That's just a running joke because I'm like that. But like that's why I always say like technically I've been 2 years, even though I had those 2 matches. But like it was just like how do you say this, like those were my 2 first appearances, and I was on a 12 people rumble, and I was on a how do you call it, a gauntlet match. Those were my matches.
They look rough because
And
people run in like, yeah.
so I remember, and I even have a bit like a clip of the when I did the rumble. Like I was entrant number 12, and again, like that's why I joke. Like I know those were my first 2 appearances, and I know like technically it is my debut, but I started joking to everybody that I didn't feel like it was my wrestling debut because I wasn't being consistently put into situations where I could consistently get better. But I still have to like go by the fact that my first time in a wrestling ring with crowd was still August 28, 2022.
When you did that rumble, was there somebody in there that just, it's like a high school bully that just don't leave you alone? Was there somebody in there that just wouldn't leave you alone? You're like, leave me alone, damn it. Like, was there somebody in there that just
Yeah, the person that eliminated me. I was just having fun. I remember I did a Northern Lights. I remember I started just hitting people with chops, hip toss, whatever. And then I was just having fun, man, and he had to ruin it for me.
having fun? And I could tell by, studying you to get ready for the show, you're all just smiles with pictures with the fans, and just, I mean, you don't smile, you throw the chops at people, but it's all about having fun, because definitely life is too short, and it seems like wrestling, be serious and win belts like you had, but just go to every promotion like I know you want to do for the new year, and just have fun. like in what you're doing, in the with that Royal Rumble that you did.
It was still really funny, like the fact that I have like such a cool clip, and you can tell, like you can also tell if you look at it. I'll even send it to you after the show. I was terrified, and you can look it in my face. Like my first two appearances, and the first one I go like this. I remember I used like two big ponytails, like pigtails, just really big, and I was just like this, and that's literally my face. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. I had no idea who I was. I was still literally, I was just like, my literal face was just like, I'm just happy to be here, man.
That's right.
Then slowly but surely I started figuring out who I was, and it's been a hell of a ride, and it has been fun. And the people I've met along the way as well. So seeing those two clips, to seeing how I react now to people when I come out with the Puerto Rican flag,
That's right.
where every part of me is noticeable in wrestling, like the awkward persona, the whole hola hola, my views on women's wrestling, the fact that I love my island and I want to represent it everywhere I go. Wrestling is everything to me, and I feel like that's something you could see from day one to current day.
That's right. Preach, girl. Definitely, always represent where you come from. And speaking of Puerto Rico, because this may help talent who may want to go over there and perform. How currently, if you look at it, how is the market over there as far as wrestling standpoint? Is it for people who want to come over there and wrestle?
So Puerto Rico's it's like a complicated market, because I don't mean in a bad way, because Puerto Rico has two big like wrestling companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those are the two wrestling companies that are on national television. And in a way, they kind of work like the big companies. Like if you work for them, you can't work for anybody else, which is a story, something I could go on for years if they let me. But there's a resurgence of like wrestling in general. There's a little bit more independent scenes. Like I feel like everybody was so afraid of like not having more to wrestler, and there's just so many, like there's just so much you could do with such like tiny spots, because it's just two companies. And now like there's been companies that have brought good talent, that they have a solid roster, and then they post their matches. Maybe they're not in national TV, but they post their matches on a YouTube channel. They made the show live, so people from the States or from Colombia or from Mexico can see their product, and it's getting recognition. So I think it's an interesting thing, because yes, there's these two big companies, but there's so much to look for in Puerto Rico than just these two, which are great. I'm not gonna discourage them or anything, but there's so much more to explore as well.
Like I said, I'm glad. Like I said, all like the fact that making memories, which from Puerto Rico, for what's going on, there, and I'm sure it's probably going to get better as time goes. But you talked a lot about here on the broadcast about having fun, making memories, and here's another clip, and this right here is where I'm gonna save this towards the end of this broadcast, because like you said earlier on, wrestling is about telling a story. I loved it, and it's based on reality. So when you see this, you're gonna say, he had to bring this up. So I'm gonna roll this clip.
My name is Tommy Invincible. Hi.
Hey, long time no see since we are wrestling.
Yeah, I sweet send you. But
I still beat you though.
you did beat me, but you're wearing a Gleason's gym hoodie?
I mean, technically, it takes a real man to stand up to a Latina. So, I know you have that invincible tattoo on your back, and I thought it'd be really nice for you.
I had to show that because the storytelling right there, I really love that, and that's why I had to bring it on the show, because between you,
Tommy is so funny. I remember how this whole thing happened. We had a 6 string scramble match at We Are Wrestling, which was ultimately the match I won. I was the first female to ever win the 6 string scramble match. I wrestled against Pete Corvus, Ben Rutten, Jay Haru, who does a character goes like ah, and then you got Hot Dog Starks. You had like a person that was a personality match because you had me, you had Tommy, and I remember I had already sent a promo for the show, but I had a show with Tommy. Pete was also at the show, Corvus, but he wasn't like he was. I didn't get to talk to him as much until like days before the show. So I remember Tommy and I were literally in the same locker room, and I said, and I said we should do a promo together. We should cut the promo together. And then that's how this whole shenanigans began. Because I remember in that first promo, he tells me, "I am going to sweet sin everybody except you." And I said, "If it comes down to the two of us, though," and I ended up getting sweet sin because my mouth started babbling and all of that. But the fact that we did that promo, we did the We Are Wrestling, where ironically we didn't even know it was gonna happen. I ended up pinning Tommy, and then we see each other like September. No, that was September, October. Yeah, 2 months later, we see each other at the IWA New Jersey show, and that's where I give him the T-shirt, my jersey. And then the month after, we meet up at American Coliseum Wrestling, where we recorded the last one, where I said, "I finally could show you the press, and I'm dressed up as the Puerto Rican flag." Because if anybody knows, Tommy Invincible loves Latinas, so that's the whole joke.
That story is just like it's cool between you two, and going forward with the new year, we definitely hope it moves forward because I got a kick out of it, and that's why I had to show it to you. And I saw you in the background laughing, and like I said, we're getting close to this ending this awesome episode of All the Top Rope. But Jim, getting to reach out for you, talking about you, and blowing up. So I definitely want to show that as well. Now, as we get closer to here, and in this episode of Off the Top Rope, of course, the next segment, you got to think about this one. So you ready to put the thinking cap on?
Let's go.
All right, here we go. She's thinking.
It's hard. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I remember this is a joke. I'm gonna say this is the joke, but then I'm gonna go with the real one. I remember on that 6 string scramble, there was a spot where I had where I actually landed on Corvus, and there's this funny picture that it just looks like he's staring at my eyes. It's a really funny picture. But since Tommy ended up hugging me, it would like you remember when they did at SmackDown where they had Ellsworth like on a cage.
Yeah.
Funny enough, like Ellsworth is one of my bosses now, and I'm coming to go back to it. But I thought it would always be funny, like if you put like 2 people and winner gets Nahir, like that's just a joke. But like that was just at the top of my head when I read that, and I'm like, this match sounds funny. But if I would have to create my own match, I would love like people barely do like women barely get to do these type of matches. Like I love to be able to do like a hardcore match, but like with elements from the past as well.
Yeah,
like crazy shenanigans. I don't mind the hockey sticks. I don't mind the kendo. Put me in a freaking mud pool, though, because we going down. Like I want all the elements of the crazy past and future, and that's how I would call it. I would call that match the evolution of women's wrestling match.
That sounds good. You get an A++.
And then it would be all the elements of these matches that we only got to have like except bras and panties. Like if like I don't think someone would feel comfortable with it, but like the whole like mud and like just silly fights, and then according to the stations, you have to wrestle accordingly to your era.
Era. Yeah, that's badass right there. You better take a paper and write that down because I may write it down as well. That I like that idea. So, but don't tell a lot of people, they may take your idea. I actually
Well,
like
no,
that.
because I want a lot of people to see this show. But like, if you guys take this idea, I will charge you for royalties.
Well, like I said, that was definitely a good answer. Like probably one of the best answers because this is like this is like a big segment on the show for this, and this is definitely probably top 5 I've gotten. So you definitely get a pass for that. I mean, world champion style as well. Now we're pretty much about to wrap up here on Off the Top Rope. Of course, Nahir, is that I made this for you, and you got a lot coming up because champions defend their titles and. Yeah, I don't know if you didn't see the clip. I don't know if the clip was too small, but yeah, I didn't know what's up next for you.
So that was the first clip we posted this weekend. I do my West Virginia debut at World Domination Wrestling Alliance, where I will be wrestling against Valerie Berman, and then I go for the 20 Women Rumble for the vacated Women's Championship. I'm pretty. So then afterwards, I wrestle at my school show, the 12, which I'm gonna be very tired for, but I always never say no to commitments. Then I'm back. No, I do my debut at Labor of Love 17, where it's a triple threat. I will be wrestling Sassy, Boatwright, and Angela Carter. Then I go to PPW, Pennsylvania Premier Wrestling, January 18th, Pennsylvania as well. Then the 25th, I come back to Puerto Rico. I still don't know who I'm facing, though. I really hope is Silksies, because she's coming. She was the first CWA champion, so and they're bringing her in. So hopefully I'm in that match. But important thing is I have to be thankful for the fact that even though I always complain I'm tired, but you know what? I'm tired because I get to do what I love, which is wrestling. And if you want to know more from what I do, you can also check my social media, my Facebook fan page that is Nahir Robles. You got Instagram and Twitter that is Rizosy Sarcasmos, which is RIZOSYSARCASMOS. Which, fun fact, that's in Spanish, but it means curls and sarcasm. It just needed to be there. Where you could see more of what I'm gonna do this next year, and hopefully it's a lot. I have a tag partner alongside with JC Storm, that's the Major League Blondes, and that's a new territory I'm gonna be exploring this year as well. So it's again, it's gonna be an interesting ride, and I hope all of you get to see that ride and live it with me.
I don't know, I don't know if you can see the clip, but if everybody, I don't know if you can see it too. So, we give her a ropes round of applause here on the show, here on Off the Top Rope. And of course, Nahir, I got to ask you, from 1 to 10, would you ever come back on Off the Top Rope again?
Of course. We only don't need, the only thing is we can't be having this crazy shenanigans. But it's mostly my fault. I'm not blaming you. It's my fault. Going back and forth like for a year, it finally happened. So we can't wait a year. It has to happen. So it's a 10 out of 10.
I did it. It's like finally, but I'm glad. I guess we finally got together.
Like, why is it so hard?
Well, everybody's busy. I mean, but finally happened. I'm blessed that it happened. I'm blessed we got to do the first episode, the debut episode here on Old City Sports.
It's a year of many debuts.
Well, I want to thank you very, very much for coming on the show and most importantly, God bless. Stay healthy in the ring, and of course, that title you got, defend that and go 100-0, and don't lose no matches. So
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me. I mean it.
It is definitely an honor. Like I said, everybody, my guest tonight, of course, Nahir Robles. I'm your boy Ty Asbury. As I always say, love yourself, love God, and we're out here. Peace out.
Tyrone Asbury. Yo. Yeah. I need y'all to listen to me right now as I taking you on this journey. Podcast journey. For only the greats can make it to this level.